First with breaking news. First with new information. 19 News starts now with a first alert for severe weather.
It is a 19 First Alert weather day for dangerous heat. You see the heat index downtown, 93. Humidity, poor air quality is an issue as well. 97 feels like in Canton. We are feeling highs to the mid-90s, close to 100. Thanks for joining us first at 4 and streaming on 19 News Plus. I'm Nicole Versansky. Brian is off today. Tomorrow is also a First Alert weather day for Canadian wildfire smoke. So let's get you right to 19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page.
Yeah, we're tracking a lot here in the 19 First Alert weather office. Let's take this live look from Conneaut because you can see a little bit of this haze starting to build in, and it goes pretty much well up to the top of this camera here. And what you're looking at, especially out over the lake, is that wildfire smoke starting to inch closer to northeast Ohio. Now, if you look out the window and you notice there's a little milkiness in the sky, there is a light concentration of some smoke, not that's necessarily making its way to the ground, but you also have a lot of that heat and humidity fueling those high feels like temperatures. So that's where some of that haze is also being a contributing factor across some of our 19 First Alert weather cameras. This is a live look from our Parma Tower camera, but do expect as we head into the later part of this evening, those skies are going to turn quite smoky, especially across our northern zones and our northeastern counties. Outside of that, it is still going to be hot. It's going to be humid. We still have these heat advisories in effect until 8 p.m. this evening for a good majority of northeast Ohio, but we are going to quickly be transitioning towards this incoming wildfire smoke. And I do have a feeling this is going to be smoke that really drops our air quality as we go through the day tomorrow. And potentially, we may need to add Friday as another 19 First Alert weather day because we still could be dealing with quite a thick concentration of some of that smoke even before we start talking about the rain and storm chances. And that's what's prompting your 19 First Alert weather day come Saturday. There's a lot to unpack here. We're going to walk you through the latest data coming up in just a bit.
First with breaking news. First with new information. Plus, your First Alert forecast. 19 News First at 4 starts now with a breaking news alert.
Well, we continue to follow breaking news in a nighttime fishing trip that turned deadly. A man drowned at a popular recreation area. Catherine Huntley has been covering the story for us today. She joins us live now. Catherine, what's the latest?
Now, this is certainly a sad situation here at Portage Lakes. Around 5:45 this morning, a neighbor said he noticed a boat out on the lake with its running lights on. And about 2 hours later, the neighbor looked outside when it was a little bit lighter and saw that the boat was actually sitting low in the water and that there was no one on board. The neighbor immediately called authorities. They came out, and unfortunately, a few hours later, a dive team uncovered a man who had drowned in his 50s. First responders out in force near the Akron Yacht Club this morning, looking for a missing boater. First responders got the call around 7:30 this morning, a boat sitting low in the water in the East Reservoir area of Portage Lakes. When on scene, they noticed a large amount of water in the boat.
It was a smaller boat. Did it partially capsize, like leaning off to a side or something? There was a lot of fishing gear that was retrieved out of the water and some items, but there was still like a cell phone in the boat and stuff like that. So it did appear like maybe something happened where the boat did partially tip and the person might have been thrown out of the water.
First responders immediately jumped into action. At 9:45, they used a handheld sonar to identify a possible body in the water. By 11:15, divers recovered the victim's body.
This is always really rough for families, and when you're doing it, we try to do everything we can to give as much dignity and respect to the person that's deceased and try to give them, the best care that we can to try and bring them in.
Right now, investigators are working to officially identify the man. They believe his car was parked at the Old State Park boat ramp. They just need to officially confirm with the medical examiner. People who live on the popular lake say it was a calm day with very still water. A full investigation is ongoing. First responders want everyone to wear a life vest when out on the water.
The person we retrieved out did not have a life vest on. Anytime you're out, you're boating, especially in the middle of the night, you're by yourself, doing a lot of night fishing, having a life preserver on that would help to get you to shore, keep you afloat. This person that we brought up did not have any type of flotation device on.
Now, the investigation is well underway to figure out exactly what happened here. Of course, the medical examiner is hard at work to officially identify the man who tragically passed away here today. In Portage Lakes, Catherine Huntley, 19 News.
This is a 19 First Alert breaking traffic alert.
I want to get back to breaking traffic news. US 422 is shut down in both directions right now, west of Harper Road in Solon, after a gas main break. It happened right under the Miles Road overpass. You're taking a live look right now at 422. You can see the backups. Now this is at State Route 91, so just before Harper, just east of Harper. Again, traffic from here being diverted off of 422 to Harper Road. So the city, Solon, says the construction crew hit the line, the gas line, while they were replacing a water line. There's no fire reported, but crews on the scene trying to assess that situation, get it under control. For those of you who are on 422 heading west, again, you're looking at the traffic backup you're about to run into at State Route 91 here. You're going to have to exit at Harper. And then Miles Road is closed between Naaman and Brainerd, so basically right under 422. We'll continue to keep our eye on this. We'll bring you the updates as they come into the newsroom. Every time you drive through Cleveland, a flock camera may record your license plate. Police say they use those photos to find suspected criminals. Council votes tonight on whether that continues. Keith Grant has been following this vote. He joins us live now from City Hall. Keith.
Nikki, there's a few steps, of course, before this is final. Happening right now inside City Hall. It's almost near the end of this marathon meeting of this council committee to decide if flock cameras even make it to council tonight. Like I said, just a few minutes ago, I was listening in on the council meeting, and they were almost to the point of voting. They're adding an additional amendment to add even more restrictions on who can access this flock data. But when it goes into the council later tonight, that's where the camera's fate lies.
Cleveland has 100 flock cameras in city limits and has used them since 2023. They are small and box-shaped, capturing the license plate, color, make, and model of every passing vehicle. Wednesday's vote would renew the contract for 6 months at $125,000. The contract ended June 29th. A city spokesperson says Flock kept the cameras running even after the contract expired. On June 30th, the city confirmed to 19 News that the cameras would stay active until Wednesday's vote. The city says the cameras are vital to solving crimes from murders to carjackings and burglaries. Bryn Adams with Flock No says the cameras are a privacy overreach.
I can always choose to leave my phone at home. I can choose what I share on my phone. There are a lot of other sort of forms of personal surveillance that a lot of us have opted into that do still have an element of opting in or out.
Adams argues in most cases you can't opt out of driving in front of a Flock camera. The council has added restrictions to Flock's use in the city, allowing only Cleveland Police and Northeast Ohio Regional Fusion Center. That's a partnership between Cleveland and Homeland Security managed agencies, and third parties would need a warrant to access the data. Adams says that's not enough.
I think these are all just sort of these empty gestures that make it look like council is serious about keeping our data and our information safe, but ultimately this is an extremely invasive mass surveillance system.
Flock No says it wants the cameras gone.
All right, once again, this committee that's debating the Flock contract right now will either recommend passing this Flock contract or not. But if that happens and it moves on to the council meeting later today, that's where that fate decides. Now, if it gets shut off, we're going to press the city on what happens with the cameras tonight, since the cameras are supposed to be shut off with this Flock contract extension, Nikki.
All right, Keith, thank you. Well, it is a 19 missing alert. Have you seen this man? His name is Nak Sung. He's 69 years old. Yesterday afternoon, he walked away from his Broadview Heights home on Emerald Creek Drive. He hasn't been seen since. Sung has dementia. He was last seen wearing blue jeans, black Nike shoes, either a white t-shirt or a black long sleeve shirt. So if you see him, call 911 or the number there on the bottom of your screen. Tensions are escalating around the Strait of Hormuz, where the U.S. has launched another wave of strikes on Iran. A new U.S. blockade has also gone into effect as President Donald Trump is again threatening to bomb civilian targets unless Iran returns to the negotiating table. Michael Yoshida reports.
The U.S. military striking Iran for 90 minutes Wednesday morning, according to U.S. Central Command. The attacks came after a fourth straight night of strikes as tensions escalate over the critical Strait of Hormuz.
The Iranians haven't given any indication that they're ready to either come back to the negotiating table or that they are willing to provide freedom of movement in the strait.
Last month's ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran now appears to be unraveling.
Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
President Donald Trump renewing his threat to bomb Iranian infrastructure unless Tehran returns to talks.
This is where it gets really murky. Some of these dual-use targets like bridges that civilians and the military use. And that's where we get into this conversation of what violates international law.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson says the country has no plans to return to negotiations. Iranian officials say they have targeted U.S. military infrastructure in the Gulf. The U.S. military says commercial ships have also been hit by Iranian attacks. Now the U.S. is adding economic pressure, reimposing oil sanctions, and enforcing a naval blockade.
Because military strikes in response to Iranian strikes on ships in recent weeks wasn't sufficient to get them to stop. It looks like now it's a combination of both economic and military measures to try to bring them back to the table.
I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
This is a 19 First Alert breaking traffic alert.
All right, back to breaking traffic news. US 44 is shut down in both directions west of Harper Road in Solon after a gas main break under the Miles Road overpass. ODOT controlling the camera here, but this is US 422 at State Route 91. You can see traffic is backed up nearly at a standstill. This is just east of where you're going to have to get off. So again, this is 91 just before Harper. So we do have some new information for you, though. We're told the power has been shut off to parts of this area as well, which is not good given the heat that we are dealing with outside. So the city of Solon, city leaders say a construction crew hit the gas line while they were replacing a water line. There's no fire reported, but Miles Road is closed between Naaman and Brainerd, basically right under 422. And this is a live look at 422. For those of you heading this way, heading west, you do have to exit at Harper Road. You can't go any further. 422 shut down in both directions at that point because of a gas main break. Not a construction crews on Interstate 90. Boy, they're doing their jobs. However, they say drivers keep hitting their equipment. Stephen Hernandez joins us live right off I-90 with really a pretty clear message here from ODOT. Stephen.
Exactly. The message couldn't be any clearer. Drive safe, drive aware, and avoid crashes. While the ODOT crews have been working all along I-90, they're saying that they've had to deal with dozens of crashes, and ODOT says they don't have a choice.
Workers have to put it out of their mind. It's a risk that they have to deal with, but they can't let it control them.
ODOT spokesperson Brent Kovacs makes the message clear. Crews have a job to do, even as the risk of being hit along I-90 remains real. ODOT and the Highway Patrol reminding drivers to slow down and pay attention, especially during large-scale highway repairs. Lieutenant Tim Hoffman says the state has seen over 20,000 car crashes at construction sites over the past 5 years, leading to 21 deaths.
The leading causes are the same: speeding and following too closely. Both completely avoidable.
Kovacs said this construction site is no different when it comes to crashes.
Specifically on this work zone behind me between West and Hilliard, there have been 27 work zone crashes.
The numbers are ticking up as ODOT plans to close the West 148th Street ramp onto I-90 starting July 27th. Lieutenant Hoffman says it's all the more reason for drivers to stay alert to their surroundings.
Maybe just people are kind of in their world trying to get where they want to get to, and sometimes they just forget that, those speed limits aren't just there to slow you down, they're there to keep everyone safe.
Today, they're sharing the exact same safety tips they have since long before construction started. Buckle up, slow down, and pay attention.
When you see orange barrels or workers on the roadside, remember they're someone's family. Your choices behind the wheel matter.
Very important advice now about that lane closure, that ramp closure on West 140th going into I-90 eastbound. The detour is right here in this recently opened ramp on Warren. So as work continues here on I-90 and all along the stretch, awareness has to follow. Live in the Camps Corner neighborhood, Stephen Hernandez, 19 News.
All right, check this out. This is what's coming our way tonight into tomorrow. An air quality alert was in effect for parts of northwest New York. Wildfire smoke from Ontario filtered through that area. This video was taken in Farmington, that's southeast of Rochester. People there were told to limit their outdoor activities today. All right, I want to get back to breaking traffic news. A live look at 422 in Solon shut down. Backups are stretching from Harper Road back here. This is closer to State Route 91. So a gas main break under the Miles Road overpass. A construction crew apparently hit the gas line while they were replacing a water line. So power has had to be shut off in this area as well. Certainly not good as we deal with heat and humidity. So US 422 is shut down in both directions west of Harper Road. Miles Road is also closed under the overpass there between Naaman and Brainerd, basically right under 422. But again, for those on 422 or heading that way, heading west, you will have to exit at Harper. The body of a fisherman was pulled from the water in Portage Lakes in Summit County. A call came in this morning. There was an empty boat in the water. Dive and rescue teams searched for the missing boater. They found the body. We do not know the man's name, but we do know he was in his 50s. Rescuers are still searching for 3 people who are missing after a boat sank in San Francisco Bay. It happened near Alcatraz Island. 1 person was pulled from the water but later died. 16 others were rescued. A dog also died. Thought to be on board that boat. The boat capsized in rough seas with swells up to 5 feet. They say the boat was a 50-foot pleasure craft. A Menor mom accused of leaving her 2 young kids out in the bitter cold last winter back in January. Laura Beatlers pled guilty to 2 counts of child endangerment. Police found her 3- and 8-year-old daughters walking around outside the extended stay motel. They say mom was inside asleep. She didn't know her children were missing. Neither child was seriously hurt. And a live look at wildfire smoke from Canada. These are live pictures from Rochester, Minnesota. This is what we're going to be seeing tonight into tomorrow. It means poor air quality, especially for people who have conditions like asthma. But Erica is worried really it's going to impact all of us. All right, now to a massive industrial fire burning in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, sending a huge plume of dark black smoke into the sky. Fire crews working to put out the blaze. It's burning at a scrapyard near a recycling facility. People being told to avoid the area, keep windows and doors shut. Also breaking, we have been telling you about the heavy smoke from several large wildfires in Canada and Minnesota, blanketing parts of the U.S. and Canada. We're going to be dealing with the impact here tomorrow. This is part of the problem. Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. It's in northeast Minnesota. It was actually closed because of 17 fires caused by lightning. More than 100 wildfires are currently burning right now in Canada.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
Continuing coverage now on our 19 First Alert weather day. Today we're dealing with intense heat, humidity, and poor air quality. Feels like temperature 97 in Canton, 97 in Akron. There is some relief coming when it comes to the heat and humidity, but then we're going to be dealing with the wildfire smoke. 19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page back with Cleveland's most accurate forecast. air quality issues big time for all of us come tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while and maybe ever since I've really seen hazardous be the wording coming in from the National Weather Service and kind of air quality alerts as we kind of go through the day tomorrow. I mean, this is a really thick concentration of some of this smoke. And the problem is a lot of this is probably going to be mixing down closer to the surface. We are still waiting essentially for the state of Ohio to put out that air quality alert for you for tomorrow. It's going to be virtually statewide, I believe. So again, keep that in mind, and it may extend into Friday as well. Thursday's a 19 first alert weather day because of that wildfire smoke. We may need to add Friday, but then Saturday our pattern starts to change, and that could bring about some shower and thunderstorm activity. These are all the wildfires that we were talking about, and when you turn on kind of this smoke layer product, you can really see how the jet stream is just pulling a lot of that smoke in from the northwest, and eventually this pattern starts to shift where that smoke now starts to enter into northeast Ohio. What's impressive is that you can really see it on our satellite imagery. This band right here, south of where we're having some of this cloud cover, that's all of this smoke that's being detected on satellite imagery. You can physically see it from space. And so we're really watching that slowly starting to sink a little bit closer to our area. And like we said, this is mixing down to the ground. So likely if you stepped outside where this air quality is under this very unhealthy and even hazardous category, it's probably going to smell like a big bonfire outdoors because of that thick concentration of that smoke. And you'll see it's just up to our north. So we don't necessarily have that much longer before we're going to start to see likely our air quality come down first, likely across our northeastern counties, and then extending all the way down into our southern zones as we go through the day tomorrow.